Good shoes can make a cheap suit look great, and bad shoes can make a very expensive suit look terrible. And they always say this, I don't know if it's right, but the first thing women look at is your feet.
All right, it's Monday. Hi, this is Chazz Palminteri. Welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Show. Great show we got today, but before I introduce my guest, I have to tell you, if you want to come and see the one-man show, go to ChazzPalminteri.net. John, where am I going to be, John?
September 27th, you're going to be in New Buffalo, Michigan at the Silver Creek Four Winds Casino. September 28th, you're going to be in Detroit, Michigan at the Fisher Theater.
Yeah.
October 2nd, you're going to be in Indianapolis at the Murat Theater. October 4th, you're going to be in Warren, Ohio at the Packard Theater.
Come and see the one-man show, the show that started it all. For those of you who don't know, I play 18 characters. This is the show that Robert De Niro saw, and that's how the movie got made. And it's an amazing story. After I wrote the play, then I wrote the screenplay, and I wrote the musical, and also directed the one-man show film. So it's 4 incarnations of the one-man show, which is pretty incredible over the past 30-something years. The show will be coming out. The film will be coming out too soon. Also, we'll be at the Lisbon Film Festival in Portugal, right, John?
We'll be there.
Wow. And so please come down, and not to Portugal, obviously, that's far. But come to the one-man show, go to ChazzPalminteri.net. Don't forget my cigars. My boutique cigar came in number 8 in the world in boutique cigars. Look it up if you don't believe me. Chazz Palminteri Bronx Tales Cigar. Go to, what's the website?
lcgcigars.com.
Go to lcgcigars.com. The great Paul DeSilvio, who created this, put it together with epic, incredible cigar maker, Paul DeSilvio. Also our wine. Paul and I, we went partners in a wine, and it's incredible Chazz Palminteri Cabernet. My next guest. Now, I'm sure you heard of Ralph Lauren. I'm sure you heard of Valentino. I'm sure you heard of Armani. And I'm sure you heard of the greats in men's and women's fashion. And I have one of the greats with me here right now. He was on the show before. He did so great. We got millions of views that people were saying they want to see him again to talk about men's fashion. He is the legendary Joseph Abboud.
Hey, Chazz, I can't believe we're doing this again, but I'm so happy to be here.
Listen, I told you, I knew it was going to be a hit. I just knew it because, Joseph, men today, and I put myself included with that. Sometimes we're lost about
that's right.
What to wear, what's appropriate. I mean, so I was thinking about a question I wanted to ask you. Like, what makes a man's closet? What should a man have in the ultimate closet?
Right. Let's say there's 5 pieces you ought to have.
Right.
You ought to have a navy, gray, or black suit. That's
navy,
gray, or black.
Now, gray
for
is
a
that
wedding,
charcoal gray?
Yeah, charcoal gray. For a wedding, funeral, or graduation. You got to have that. Every guy's got to have a well-tailored suit. Even if it's only one, a tailored suit. He's got to have a great white shirt, okay? Just one great white shirt because, guys, it's very fresh, it's very clean. You got to have that.
Now, here's the thing I wanted to ask you, because I like to get custom shirts.
No, I know.
Do you get them with a button or do you get them with a
French cuff?
French cuff.
I think for everyday, button's great. But if you're getting dressed up and you put on a nice suit, French cuff's kind of beautiful. It's got a little bit of detail. Menswear doesn't have a lot of range. So whenever we can find a little detail for guys, women have so much range in terms of their clothes. But for guys, a little thing like a great cufflink or monogramming your cuff on.
That's a question. First of all, is it a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it a little like over the top?
No.
I
think I told you this before, but I've always said, never have your suit walk into the room before you do. Meaning, don't be too flashy, but have some nice details so that when people get the first image of you, let's say Chazz walks in, gray suit, black turtleneck, it isn't the suit they're looking at. It's the image of the leading man. And that's what I want every guy to be, a leading man in their life. Whether they're a car salesman or a plumber or a mechanic, when they get dressed up, I want them to be the leading man.
Is it okay to have the monogram here?
Yeah, you can do it on your chest, you can do it on your sleeve. And I just think it's a little bit more personalized style, and that's happening. I think young guys like personalized style. Although they don't really know that much about it, they have what I call genetic memory. They know that a great navy blazer works for them. They know, like Dante, when they put on a tuxedo, all of a sudden they're James Bond. They feel, and they look great, and they throw out their chests. You know, it's so great to see young guys getting dressed. We talk about our history and great films and great movie stars, and people think, oh, that's the past. But that's where the inspiration comes from for these young guys.
Wow. No, okay. So let's, because I know so many people ask me this question.
Yeah.
So to recap just a second.
Yeah.
3 suits, gray, navy blue, black.
Right.
What else?
The white shirt.
The white shirt.
I don't know, I have a couple of them. A great leather jacket. A worn leather jacket that you beat the hell out of. That you became James Dean. All of a sudden, you're a rebel without a cause. So that
leather jacket.
Yeah, just not fancy, not flashy, just a great old worn.
A long one?
Yeah, you could do sort of like a bomber shape, but something that when you put it on, it's like an old friend.
Okay.
That's really cool. The perfect pair of navy jeans, just dark blue jeans. Put that on with the white shirt, you're a movie star. It's just, it's so great. And then lastly, have a great pair of gray trousers. Dressy gray trousers.
Gray trousers.
Just gray, dark charcoal gray, because that looks like money. That looks like, put that on with your navy blazer, or even throw it on with that cool leather jacket and the white shirt. It's about men's style, sort of, you have to maneuver your pieces, because we're not wearing skirts, and we're not wearing pink and yellow and light green. We're in a range of color. Look, you dress in navy, black, dark gray. Occasionally, in the summer, you might do something in a light colored linen or something.
Yes.
But you know where your comfort zone is.
Yes.
That's what I think most guys have to know, where their comfort zone is.
Right. I mean, I had a suit made by you, obviously. That brown one.
The
linen.
The tan linen.
The tan linen.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. Now, we went to a wedding recently, my friend's wedding. And an incredible wedding they had. I guess I could say his name. Yeah, my friend Joseph and Janice Jardinia.
Yeah,
they had an incredible wedding.
Yeah,
and let me give him a shout out down at the Pier 59 in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh, just an incredible wedding. And they said on their invitation, it said summer formal. Now that kind of threw me.
Well, it throws a lot of people. Right,
it throws a lot of people.
Right.
So I said to my wife, I said, "Oh, this is great. I got a shot to wear the linen suit that Joseph made."
Yeah.
She says, "Well, it says formal. Everybody's going to be in black." But the women were not allowed to wear black. They were told, the women.
That's interesting.
I know. So I didn't wear it.
Yeah.
And I wore another suit.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, that you made for me.
Yeah.
And and it was great. It was beautiful.
Sure. You can't go wrong if you wear a dark suit.
But what
does
does summer formal mean?
You know, what drives people crazy are these invitations with these, semi-formal, black tie optional. Guys go crazy.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, guys are still the guy that's driving around and won't ask directions to find a gas station. They'll drive around the block 27 times.
Right.
So guys won't ask. But to me, if it said summer formal, I would have worn the light suit and maybe put a really nice shirt and tie with it, and you would have been the standout. You would have been. So it's easy to be conform. But, I get it. Sometimes it feels like it's a risk. But let's say you're going to go to a tropical climate somewhere. You're going to go to Lisbon.
That's right.
First of all, they dress in that city.
In Portugal?
Oh,
I've never been there.
They dress. The European capitals, guys still wear linen suits and seersucker suits and cool, interesting things. And they're not in the fashion business. So they tend to step out a little bit more. American men are a little bit more cautious, which has kind of always been a challenge.
Right. So we figured out the whole closet. Anything else? Or pretty much that's it.
Well, I think if you have those, you can go.
How about
any-
shoes?
Shoes, to me, I'm still a big fan of either great English shoes. There's a street in German Street in London. There's about a 25 or 30 great men's shoe stores. If you love shoes, you'll spend all your money. Or great Italian shoes like Ferragamo. Still a
Yes.
great brand.
Yes.
I think good shoes can make a cheap suit look great, and bad shoes can make a very expensive suit look terrible.
And
So
I-
even if you
yeah,
want,
that's so true.
yeah, and those good shoes look great with jeans, and they look great with,
That's true.
you know,
You're right.
so and they always say this. I don't know if it's right, but the first thing women look at is your feet.
Really?
Now there's a lot of connotations to that, but quite frankly, they're saying, the size of the guy up, oh, he's got nice shoes. He knows what he's doing. It's very interesting. That's been a saying for years in our industry.
Really?
Yeah. First thing
They
women
look at the man's feet.
yeah, they look at his shoe. Well, we could say his feet, but they look at his shoes. And if he's wearing cheap shoes, he doesn't have a shot.
Wow. Wow. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I won't mention his name. At the wedding, I said one
Yeah.
of my friend's sons was there.
Yeah.
And he was dressed. He had Ferragamo shoes.
Yeah.
Really nice brown suit.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Yeah.
He had a Ferragamo belt.
Yeah.
The nice I
Yeah.
mean, that's
That's
expensive.
expensive. Yeah.
Expensive
expensive.
belt. But he had a shit tie on. And I looked at him and I said, come here. I looked at him and I said, come here, I want to talk to you. I said, you have this beautiful outfit. And my son goes, how dare you talk to him? I go, I know him well enough to talk. That's me. I said, listen to me. You have to get a tie. A bad tie could ruin a great suit.
100%.
Am I right?
All the pieces for menswear have to work. So I'll tell you a quick story if you don't mind. 17 years old, I want to go to the junior prom, and I bought a navy blue 3-piece suit with brown shoes. Now, nobody ever wore navy with brown, and this is a long time ago.
That goes. doesn't it?
Well, it's very British, it's sort of
very British, you're right.
sort of very gentry.
Right.
I spent 2 days looking for the perfect tie. I walked up, I grew up in Boston, walked up and down Beacon Hill and over the Common and to every store. And I went to this great store, Louis of Boston, and I saw the tie in the window. And I said, I was on the quest. I found that tie. And I ended up getting the girl of my dreams, and I was voted best dressed in high school the year after. But that's, to me, I always think of, it's important to make first impressions. It's important to get it right. And I was so obsessed with it. This is a long time ago, junior in
Now-
high school.
So you remember Ray Kelly?
Yeah.
The commissioner?
Yeah.
Who I know very well. Is
Yeah.
a great friend.
A great guy.
Great guy. And I remember seeing him all the time. And he would have these exquisite
He
ties.
dressed well.
But these ties that you look at and you go, I'm sorry, this tie is different. This tie is expensive. You could just tell. And one day I asked him, I said, Bob, what the tie? Would you mind me asking you? He goes, oh yeah,
Was it
it's a-
Charvet?
Charvet.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
you're right.
yeah.
From Paris.
Yes. So
And I was like, oh my God. Do you know I went crazy? I went out and I bought
yeah, but
Oh.
when guys were tired, do you know one of the greatest compliments I ever got was one of my suppliers from Italy said, Mr. Charvet would like to meet you.
wow.
Now, I'm a young designer. I made a big mark in the neckwear that I created and designed. I kind of changed the face of
Right.
neckwear.
Yeah.
So Mr. Charvet, who bought his fabrics from the same people, he said he'd like to meet you. And I said, he wants to meet me. And he said,
Wow.
yeah, he said, because you're in, and there's a wonderful book on ties. Now, guys aren't wearing ties as much. Unfortunately, I hope it comes back. But that was like one of the thrills of my life to meet this guy, Charvet, because worldwide, in Bergdorf Goodman in New York, there was always 2 or 3 tables of Charvet ties. They
Right.
were expensive. They were handmade. They were beautiful. So for me, a guy wants to meet me. And yeah, and he was the most charming, most complimentary guy.
Yeah.
And we talked about tie construction and where we got our fabrics from. And that was sort of the golden age of menswear. The 80s and 90s,
Right.
when guys got dressed to impress and succeed, right? Guys put on Giorgio Armani and they put on me. I was the new guy, Joseph Abboud. And guys got dressed and they looked great. because they were meeting people, they were interacting with people, they were going on dates or taking their wives out to dinner.
Right.
And we've lost so much of that. It's heartbreaking.
Right.
And I'm hoping that Dante, who can be the leader of the pack, your son,
My son, yeah.
he shows what young guys in style
He
are all about.
dresses in style all the time.
You know, and I'm hoping that that's contagious, that young guys see there's a way that you don't have to be a peacock. Put on a beautiful tuxedo or put on a great suit and throw your chest out and feel good about yourself.
Now there's going to be people out there, Joseph,
Oh, I know.
that are going to say, "Oh yeah, well, if you have a lot of money, you could dress like that." I mean, do you have to
No.
spend a lot of money, Joseph?
No. And I've always believed, you know, when I designed my collections, there's a price that goes with quality. You can't, for example, if you're buying Italian fabrics, they're going to be the most expensive. They're the most beautiful. That's what I've used my entire career.
Wow.
So my suits were probably mid to high in terms of price. However, young guys should learn that it's better to buy 1 or 2 great suits or 1 or 2 jackets as opposed to 7 or 8. And that was always the European mentality.
That's a very good point.
I could never figure out why the Europeans always dress so well. And even the women, and I realized that they don't buy a lot of stuff, but they buy quality. And in the long run, it's more cost effective to buy something that's nice, that lasts you a long time, and that, you know, just has a certain amount of quality to it. And it's unfortunate, you know, some
That's a
things,
very
look,
good point.
in this economy, everything's expensive. Fabrics are more expensive. Transportation's more expensive. Labor's more expensive. But buy quality, buy less, but buy quality. Don't go out every time you have an event and go buy one. And it's probably not going to fit right. And, you know, we talked with Dante, tailoring is so crucial. The way it's fit and the way it's tailored, that's 50% of the battle. So, you know, I've done this my whole career. I've always said, let me just, for the American consumer, being an American designer, let me give them the best I can do. Let it not be for the runway. Let it be for their everyday lives. Make them feel better about it.
Now, you're the one who once in a while I'll wear an ascot. You call it?
Yeah, or a handkerchief or
A
whatever.
handkerchief on my
Right.
neck.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody wears it like you do. I don't know why, but you put that on, and
you know, I guess I have a creative license since I'm a designer. I can kind of run away with that stuff.
It. But you know what's funny? I did it once. I remember I tried, and all these people. You know who complimented me?
What was that?
Mostly all of them women.
Yeah,
women came over and said, "Oh my, I just love the way you look." And I was like,
that's a compliment.
I was like, "Oh, thank you." Then another woman said, "It's so stylish," and I went, "Thanks." And I went, "Man, maybe there's something to this shit." Yeah.
So for last Christmas, I took the family to Scotland.
Okay.
And we went to the New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve formal in Scotland is kilts. Kilts, okay?
So you have to wear kilts.
You have to. It's what we would consider black tie.
Oh, God.
So I go, okay, how do I get creative on wearing a kilt? Because you usually see them in red tartans and
Yes.
So I say, I'm going to be the evil dark prince. I got a black and gray tartan kilt.
Right.
I put the turtleneck on with the jacket, not a bow tie, a turtleneck. And I put one of my black and gray scarves on. And if I tell you how many women wanted to take pictures with me.
Really?
I ran into Rod Stewart at that time too. Rod Stewart, he stopped me. Rod Stewart stopped me and said, "That's the greatest look." I was walking by the table and it was like, you know, I'm starstruck, right?
Yeah.
It's Rod Stewart.
Right.
And he's stopping me, and he and his, I don't know if it's his wife or his partner or whatever. And they said, "You have to tell us what it was." And I went back to my table with my kids and I said, "The greatest thing that just ever happened to me in my life, Rod Stewart just liked what I was wearing." So, you know, making a little bit of difference.
A difference, yeah.
Just, you know, like a scarf or maybe a handkerchief in your pocket or that monogram. Just something, it doesn't have to be over the top. And like I said, I probably do it a little more than most because I figured I can get away with it.
Well, you can get away with it. You're a designer. You're a world famous designer, you know.
I can get away with it.
Yeah, but I don't know what it does. It just transforms.
Well, those are the little things that men can do. I think I was telling you earlier. So when I was 15 years old, I got a gift from my sister.
Right.
And it was an Oleg Cassini dress shirt. Okay. It was a gold dress shirt. in a box and in a package. And I never wanted to take the shirt out. I didn't want to wear it because I wanted to, it was precious to me.
Yeah.
This is when I was 15 years old.
Right.
And that's from the time I loved clothes. And fast forward about 45 or 50 years, I have the pleasure of meeting Oleg Cassini, who was very big with Jackie Kennedy. And
Right, yeah.
he was the playboy. He was the guy that wore the sweater over the shoulders.
Right.
You know, and he played tennis.
Right,
Sort of
right.
the very 60s thing. And I said to him, I have to tell you this story. You probably don't want to hear it. We ended up having lunch. And he said, that is the nicest compliment anyone ever paid me. And I said, Mr. Cassini, you were one of the reasons that I started on the path 45
Wow.
years ago.
Wow.
And his style, and he gave in his 90s, gave one of the greatest speeches at our Designer of the Year Awards, the CFTA Awards. And style is timeless. You know, whether you're 15 or 90, whether we're a little older than our kids, what we do, our style is still about our personality. And that's, you know, Chazz, I know, you know how I feel about you. You're a movie star. And I mean that as sort of throwing bouquets. You know how to look like a movie star. You know how to carry yourself like a movie star.
Right.
That's why, you know, leading men, that's always something that I've looked at. I looked at Tyrone Power in his tuxedo, or Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
And maybe people are going to say, who are watching, oh yeah, that was cool. It's basically the fertile ground for the future.
It's timeless.
It's timeless. But these young guys who are so hungry for it, they don't know why or how. But this stuff, I mean, these guys were leading men, and you
Right.
know what that feeling is like.
You know, I people know me. They know of me that I wear a lot of scarves, dress scarves.
Yeah.
And I always say, if you're going to wear a scarf, it better be a good scarf.
Absolutely right.
And Charvet,
Charvet.
Charvet makes scarves.
Yeah.
so-
They make ties, scarves, pocket
Yeah.
squares. Yeah.
pocket handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'm going to get a scarf. And the reason why I did that was I saw many years ago some films of Cary Grant going on award shows. And he would come on with his black tuxedo. And he had this like
The
silk scarf.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. It's, you know, the masculine beauty.
This guy.
When they were gorgeous.
Yeah.
You could say that about guys. They were,
Oh, God.
and the studios would groom these guys and do their wardrobes.
Yeah.
And, just the imagery. What certainly was everything that started me on my career, because I was just a little Lebanese kid from the south end of Boston.
Wow.
And I'd go to the movies and I go, I don't know who those guys are, but I want to be them.
Yeah.
You know, and so dressing, not just what it was, because everybody said, oh, here's a couple guys talking about history. The history is a boomerang effect that's going to influence the younger guys in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Right.
But this history of style is very cool. But the movies, I mean, it's your world.
Yeah.
The movies are so influential. I was watching The Untouchables with Robert De Niro.
Right.
Just I think Brian De Palma, I think.
Brian De Palma directed. Yeah.
And the clothes in that are great.
Great. Yeah.
They're great. And Giorgio Armani, I have to give him a lot of credit. He did the wardrobe for The Untouchables.
He did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can see his fingerprints and his handwriting on it.
Right.
But he did a great job. I think Frank Nitti in that movie has a 3-piece white linen suit.
Yes,
on,
he does.
and he gets thrown off the roof.
And he
I don't
gets
want to
thrown
ruin the
off the
movie
roof,
for
right.
anybody, but the style in that film is fabulous.
Right.
Fabulous. It's one of the great fashion films. Most people don't know that, but it's a great fashion film.
Now, do you believe, and obviously you know women, do you believe a woman has a closet too, or that's just open
Yeah,
to everything?
I think women, it's interesting what you said before about them coming up to you. Women discovered my brand before the men did. So women are, and I know could it sound sexist or what? Women are much more intuitive about what's happening, what's coming, and they so often guide the men in their lives, you know, their husbands, their sons. They do.
That's so true.
They do. Women, they give a lot of guys confidence who might not have it. And so, you know, women know basically what to wear. They know their body types, right? Women know their body types.
Right.
They know I can wear this, I can't wear this brand, I can wear that brand. So I just think intuitively, They know what's right, and they see trends coming that are real trends before guys do. And believe it or not,
Wow.
I played to women in terms of my like we advertised in Vanity Fair and in Vogue, more women's skewed magazines
Really?
with our men's collections. And it was so often that the women brought their men in to find my collection because guys just don't have the same inquisitive nature that women do.
Guys sometimes, yeah, I can understand. Guys sometimes don't care.
They don't care, or they get trapped in a time warp. Like I see a lot of my friends, they're still dressing in the 80s, you know, and
Yeah.
and it makes me laugh because they found a comfort zone at that moment, and it's past. It's time.
Yeah.
I wrote an article which was great for women's wear, and it was really kind of fun. And it was called "When the Skinny Suit Got Too Skinny." Okay, so you could put on a NFL game or you can put on the pre-games, and you get these very strong, muscular, athletes who are now
Right.
announcers, and it's an embarrassment how their suits fit them. They're bulging. They're so tight. The beauty of a suit is to see some fabric, see something that fits. And, trends, guys get caught in time warps. The skinny suit's over. The skinny suit is done.
Right.
The young guy has never really had to understand a fashion change. So there's going to be movement to slightly easier, not weird, crazy fit, but
Right.
movement away from muscle bulging where you can read the credit card numbers on the guy's American Express.
If it's too form-fitting.
It's too tight. And these guys are in great shape, and they look like sausages. It's an embarrassment, really.
When do you draw the line, Joseph, between a suit that's too tight or a suit that's too
Too big.
boxy?
It's menswear lives in the middle. Menswear doesn't live on the extremes. Too tight doesn't work, and too big and too voluminous doesn't work. You got to find the sweet spot. Like
Right.
you want a suit that traces the body, right? You have the perfect physique for clothes. You want a suit that has a shape,
Shape,
but
right?
you don't want it so tight that you look like it's your bar mitzvah suit, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of instinct. If you go to a great shop, a great specialty store, they should help you with that for guys who don't know. But I think menswear needs to be always in good taste and style and is always timeless. It's not about fashion and of the moment. So I suggest guys be smart about it, get dressed, feel good about yourself and make a great impression.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question right now,
Yeah.
and this should be
Uh-oh.
this should be fun.
Okay.
John, you know what I'm going to say. Now,
Uh-oh.
when does it come where, okay, my friend who works for me,
Yeah.
he's my personal bodyguard and my security. He's been with me many years.
Yeah.
Sandy Blue Eyes.
I love him.
Now, Sandy Blue Eyes.
I love
We're
Sandy.
talking about Sandy Blue Eyes here. Sandy Blue Eyes is a great dresser. He dresses suit,
Pinstripe suit.
pinstripes, a tie,
Yep,
handkerchief.
handkerchief.
Okay, but sometimes, and this is my opinion, he'll wear a black shirt with a pink sport jacket. And I go, and white shoes. And I go, Sandy, that's 80s.
It's 80s, and it's a little bit of the mob style.
Thank you.
Okay.
So he goes, no. He's like stuck in the time warp.
But you know what? He's a good-looking guy, the silver hair.
Right.
And my daughter said, Dad, who is that guy over there?
Right. And people say that. Right.
And I said,
Right.
oh, he's one of the greatest guys. I want to introduce you. But that is part of there's a way to morph that. If you like pinstripe suits, for example, okay, so maybe not such a flashy tie, okay? Maybe not a dark shirt, but he likes to dress, and he dresses well.
He does.
You got to give him credit.
I give him credit.
He dresses well.
But sometimes I think some of his styles are a little out of date.
I think they're almost, in a way, sort of representative of the kind of films that, is it Goodfellas? Is it?
Totally good fella.
Yeah. Is
Bronx
it?
Tale.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes. And you know what? Because I study the way people dress, not in a critical way.
Yeah.
Like you're sending me a message right now how you're dressed.
Right.
Everybody that I see, I'm not judging. I just get it. I just know what they're saying. And that's what Sandy's doing. He's sending you a message. This is me. This is my persona. You couldn't put him in a tweed jacket with a pipe. Okay,
No.
you could you
No.
couldn't put Sandy in it because
Right.
it would be
Right.
like pasta with mayonnaise, basically.
But could you put him in a beautiful tailored black or gray leather suit?
Yeah, you could put him, and you know what? I'd say, Sandy, you know what? You're a handsome guy. Get a dark pinstripe suit, put on a white shirt and a silver tie. And now you look like chairman of the board. Now it's still in his sweet spot.
Instead of the head of the mob.
That's right.
Right.
Right. My daughters fell in love with him. They
Oh,
fell in love with him.
people love him.
Yeah.
People love him.
Yeah.
It's just that I want to settle it right now. You hear, Sandy? I asked one of the top designer menswear in the world. And he said, okay, you get away with it, but sometimes
You can morph. You can
a
evolve.
pink sport jacket with a black shirt
Yeah.
is too much. Now, wait a minute. While we're on Sandy, I'm going to say it again. Come on, a black shirt with a white tie.
It's
Come
really
on, Joseph.
it's a caricature. Yeah, it's right out of the mob films. It's right out of
Come on.
I Married the Mob.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Black shirt, white tie, too much.
Now, if he wants to wear a black shirt and let's say, a nice tweed jacket and he still wears his black pants and, because he's got that complexion,
Right.
he can do it. But just tell Sandy to call me and unless he shoots me, but I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of
Yeah,
his.
but let's get it straight. No black shirt
And
with a
ties.
white tie.
No.
You hear that, Blue Eyes? Don't do it. Okay. This episode of the Chazz Palminteri Show is brought to you by Hello Garage. Are you tired of your stained, cracked garage floors? Did you know that the winter salt can eat away at your garage floor? Transform your garage floor with a new garage floor coating from Hello Garage. Hello Garage uses a new material called polyaspartic. It's more durable than your average epoxy and can be used on your garage floor, basements, patios, and porches. Visit HelloGarage.com to schedule your free estimate. Make your dream come true by scheduling an appointment with our team. Hello Garage floors won't chip, crack, yellow, or fade. These floors offer durability and are easy to clean. Schedule an appointment by calling 1-888-59-GARAGE. That's 1-888-59-GARAGE. Or go online at HelloGarage.com. Hello Garage. I'm telling you folks, say my name. They'll give you a discount, a 10% discount. I want to tell you personally that I use them and they made my garage a palace. And for a reasonable price. Chazz Palminteri, mention my name, call Hello Garage. You will be incredibly satisfied. But it's interesting what you said because my wife always, she always goes, oh, you got to get dressed. I say, honey, I don't like getting dressed for my podcast. I like to be casual.
Yeah.
Because I'm always dressed when I go,
Of course.
out. And
Yeah,
do
and I
things.
see that. Yeah.
And my podcast, I do like 5, 6 in one day. I want to just relax.
Of course. And you're in an environment that's a very
I'm in my
cozy.
home.
We're in a studio. Let's be honest.
Yes.
And you have the creative right to feel the part that you live in, to feel the part of your
Right.
experience and where you're at.
Right.
And that's what I mean about getting the message. The message you're sending me right now is
Yeah.
I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable, I'm cool,
Right.
and I know how to do this.
Right.
And that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing.
Wow. We got to have, Joseph. You know what? We have, folks, I mean this sincerely. I'm having such a good time with this. Right, John? I mean, it's so flowing. If you have any questions to me, to Joseph, really, because we'd like to have Joseph back on again again,
We have fun with this.
no, we have fun with this. If you have any questions about dressing, about what makes a man attractive, or, he was saying all these incredible things that women notice in a man.
They do that. They do.
They notice the shoes.
And women really are big drivers of menswear. Back in the day when ties, let's say 80s and 90s, 92% of every tie purchase was by a woman. 92%.
Wow.
So what would a woman do? She probably spent a lot of money herself. So I got to go get something for my husband. She'd go in and buy 5 or 6 ties at $150 a pop.
Wow.
But what the tie did back then was it changed the guy's outfit. Say you only had navy and gray suits, so you could wear a different tie every day.
Yeah.
You could be a little more serious, a little bit more fun. You could be more summer. You could be more winter. So ties for men are like scarves for women. They're personality drivers. They really are.
Like
And-
women's bags. and
yeah,
stuff?
women's scarves, women's bags. It sends a message, even if they're wearing it with their jeans. So ties for guys was saying, look at me, I have a striped tie, I'm really intellectual. Or look at me, I got a naked lady on my tie, I don't know, I'm kind of a gigolo.
Right.
So there was messages that are sent. We've lost a lot of that now. So my goal right now in this kind of crazy world
Yeah.
is to find out the next message, the next new wave of how to get Dante and his generation to start thinking about, you know what, getting dressed isn't a necessity. It's pretty nice. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel I'm interacting with people. Because of all of the Zoom meetings after COVID, I mean, if there was
So true.
a nail in the coffin for menswear,
It was Zoom.
it was Zoom, and it was
Wow.
COVID, because young guys now aren't even when they get dressed for Zoom, they basically wear a shirt. Very few people are wearing jackets. Almost nobody's wearing a tie. And I sort of miss seeing people walk into a room. It's like shopping online versus going into a great store. I'd rather walk into a great store and touch and feel and touch it with my eyes.
Put it on, yeah.
And feel it rather than, okay, go online, here's 7 shirts I could buy, here's a pink one, here's a blue. I'd love the experience of trying on new clothes and seeing the fit and understanding what clothes really mean. And it isn't the most important thing, but think about it. Gorbachev, when he was in Russia, now Putin, what did they do? They were leading, these countries in the world.
Right.
Every day they got up and they thought, what am I going to wear today? What am I going to put on? Reagan in his brown suits, right? Reagan wore, I didn't like him, but he wore brown suits. And so everybody's making a fashion decision no matter what you do. When you get up in the morning, when you decide what to put on, you're sending a message.
But here's the thing, Joseph, I don't understand. And like you said, the Zoom thing, when I watch newsreels,
Yeah.
the 30s, the
Yeah.
40s,
Oh, yeah.
even the 60s.
Yeah.
I see everybody walking down the street dressed.
Yeah.
Baseball games.
Oh, remember
People
that?
would go to baseball games with a suit and tie and
Yeah,
hats.
Yep.
And women would be dressed like it's a Friday night. And over all these years, we've changed. We morphed into this,
It's deteriorated from a style point of view.
yes. I mean, do you find that the brick and mortar industry, the clothing industry, is decimated because of that?
Yeah, I would say that probably more than 50 to 60% of the great retail shops, especially men's, failed during COVID. They basically went out of business.
Went out of business.
Now, Barney's, which was on 60th Street,
Yeah.
Barney's is gone. And when you think about that,
That's because of COVID, you think?
I think it came down to a lot of things. I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
I think retailers, great men's retailers, and again, I'm writing about this now. You've got to make theater. Like you're in the theater business,
Right.
retail needs to be theater. You have to have great windows. Say you're walking down Madison Avenue and you stop by and you go, that's a great sport coat. Look at the shirt with that. Look at the
Yes.
sweater. It draws you in. That's your calling card. Retail has to be all about the experience. Remember I said, touch it with your eyes. You walk in, see all these beautiful clothes. I want to try this on.
Right.
Online is a different.
Do some of these retail places have online websites?
Oh yeah, I think
They
a
have
lot of
to.
them do as a support. But for me, if I were to open new stores under a new collection, I'd have an online presence. But I still want a physical space that someone can walk into my world and say, yeah, I get it. I know what this is.
Wow.
That's really great. There was a very funny story. Ralph Lauren, who is just an incredible talent, has a store on 72nd and Madison.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Yep. Great store. And I was working for Ralph at that time when he opened that store.
Look around. I modeled my
I know. I know.
the green walls.
That's right. The wood.
The wood and
that's right.
and I have the burgundy rug.
Yeah. That's Ralph all
That's
all
Ralph
day
all
and all
the way,
night.
yeah.
So an Italian friend of mine who spoke in not particularly great English, he said, when I went in that store, I knew what I had to wear. So Ralph has been the master, whether whether it's a style for everyone or not, that's up to each person. You walk into that store and you know what his world is. That's what great retail has to do. Doesn't have to be Ralph Lauren. It can be Joseph Abboud. It can be Giorgio Armani. You walk into that store and you get the message. You don't get exactly the same experience online. You just don't.
You don't. Yeah.
No, you don't have that tactile feeling of, oh my God, I got to go touch that sleeve. Oh, look at those cashmere sweaters. Retail is meant to be theater. And if you don't do it right, someone will either outprice you or outstyle you. But if you have your own story to tell, people will find you.
Wow. I mean, that's a great ending there. But I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Sweaters.
Yeah.
Do men wear sweaters anymore? Is sweaters stylish? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
there was a moment, let's say, in the 80s and 90s where sweaters were the driver.
Like mohair sweaters.
Mohair sweaters, Fair Isle sweaters, cable sweaters,
Right.
all those. What is really cool now, and I think you do it well, is when you're getting dressed, if you want to wear like a cashmere turtleneck, that's considered that's a sweater.
That's a sweater.
Right? It's the new version, or great V-neck gray cashmere. I've said this. I did one collection. I did it for Lord and Taylor. It was called Black Brown 1826, and we did it for Hudson Bay Company up in Canada.
Right.
And we had the best cashmere at great prices, Italian cashmere. And one day I'm on the floor and I watched this happen. A doctor from Connecticut, probably in his 60s, 70s, picks up the gray cashmere sweater. His wife loves it. They bought 2 other colors. About an hour later, a 20-something-year-old kid in torn jeans and sneakers buys the same gray cashmere sweater. Because that was kind of a timeless product.
Right.
That I could get the 60 guy, the 70-year-old guy, but I could get the 20-year-old guy. And those were it's like a great V-neck cashmere sweater. Throw it on like you throw on a sweatshirt. Throw it on with a pair of jeans or a pair of dark trousers. It's cool. Those are the kinds of pieces that are iconic. But you can reach a lot of people with that.
Now, do you ever wear like what you're wearing now around a sweater, a turtleneck? No.
So I wear scarves with turtlenecks, but I've been known to wear scarves, which is
I wear scarves too.
Yeah.
But can you wear that?
Yeah. So what you do with a turtleneck, let's say you put it on with your dark suit, right?
Yes.
Put it on. You put it inside your lapel. So it doesn't show so much, but it's there. Then you button your jacket, and now you're Cary Grant. So, if you look at like North by Northwest, which is a great film, or To Catch a Thief.
To Catch a Thief, yeah.
He's got on, I don't know if you remember this, he's got on a crew neck sweater and a little bandana. And I'm going, oh my God, I got to be him. I have to be.
I know. I mean, Cary Grant to me. He always played the leading man. Up to he was like 65, 70, and I think the girls were like 30 years old.
Yeah,
and it worked.
And even if you saw him in his later films, in North by Northwest, he's older, right?
Yeah.
But look at this shot of Cary Grant. You tell me that's not style. Look at the way he's wearing that suit. Is that's just
style. Could you take a photo of this, John?
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, is that?
Yeah, he was just.
Is that Hollywood?
That's Hollywood, man.
But that was, our royalty. So, Chazz, our royalty, we don't have, kings and princes.
We had movie stars.
That's our royalty.
You're right.
And these guys were royalty. Tyrone Power putting on a tuxedo.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You know who I loved? I thought he had so much style, and he was an American actor. And he just passed away recently. Alain Delon.
Alain Delon was one of the most handsome
leading
men.
I mean, talked about being handsome. My God.
Yeah, in a very natural way. Made some great, great films. But that, coming back to America, those were our royalty.
Yeah.
That was our royalty, known around the world, right?
Right.
The Gary Coopers and the way they would take photos, the way they took images, and the way they dressed in those photos.
Yeah.
Man, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
But I think if you showed those images to Dante, for example.
Yeah.
How old is Dante now?
Dante's 28.
Okay. These guys are long gone in their history. You show him a picture of
Right.
Cary Grant.
Oh, he would love it.
And he goes, I want to be that guy.
Right.
We just need to
My
explore.
son is like, we got to put up some photos on this, John, of Dante dressed.
Yeah.
You know.
But they, if you show them the way,
Right.
you'd be surprised how much they love it. So it's not ancient
We
history.
got to come back, and we got to have. Look, if you have any questions for Joseph Abboud, please send them to the Chazz Palminteri show. What's my what email? Which one is that?
I'd say just leave a comment.
Just leave a comment on my Instagram. You have a question for Joseph Abboud about style, about dress, about what women like. The man knows. I'm telling you. Sometimes, I'm going to an event and the man comes over and dresses me, and I go, wow.
That's the good thing about being neighbors.
Yeah, and I walk into the place, and it's like, wow.
I don't know if I told you this. I know if time's tight, but I wanted to tell you this.
Good.
So when I first started, Chanel, which is an incredible brand worldwide, Coco Chanel's is a deity. So, and she had passed away before
Right.
Chanel was looking for someone to design their men's neckwear, their accessories, and all of the things for men. And so they're interviewing people from all over the world.
Right.
And I'll maybe save this story for next time. But
No, say it now.
okay. Now they say they want to interview you, Joseph Abboud, for the job. And I said, I'm a little pisher kid from the south end of Boston. Chanel wants, to.
Wow.
So fly to London. I'm supposed to fly to Paris the next day. And this is about how clothes really make an impact. I put on this ivory double-breasted silk and wool suit. And I go out of the hotel from London, and I'm heading to the airport in a cab in London. And the engine block explodes in my cab. We're on a rainy day. I'm on the highway. We have to get out of the cab. And the cabbies in London are great. They basically wave down another guy,
Right.
takes me. I get to the airport. I make it in time for my flight. And they say, ticket, all that. They said, where's your visa? I said, I don't have a visa. I have a job interview with Chanel. Sorry, can't do it. Can't let you on. I said, where can I get a visa? I said, you can't get a visa for 3 or 4 days. This is, I think, for a lot of young people to listen to this. They said, you can't go. I said, I have to go. So long story short, I take a cab back to London, spend 2 hours begging and pleading. I get a visa. They help me out. And I said, could you call Chanel in Paris and tell them I'm going to be late for my 12 o'clock at 2 o'clock? They called and they said, yeah, okay. I get back to the airport in this rumpled, double-breasted linen suit that's now rained, and I'm still trying to look good.
Wow.
I make the 12 o'clock flight. The flight attendant or the person, they couldn't believe I made it. I made that flight, and I made the interview, and I got the job at Chanel. And when I got back to the hotel that night in London, I said, you know what? I might not be the best designer in the world, but I was going to be the most determined. And it reminds me of the
Wow.
story that you told me
Wow.
when you were selling or trying to sell the idea for A Bronx Tale. And they
Right.
didn't want you to play the
They
part.
didn't want me to play the part, right?
And you said, I'm not going to let this stop me.
Right.
And that's how I was. And I wasn't going to let anything stop me until it did. And I got to Paris and I got the job. I designed for Chanel for 2 years, which was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Wow.
And that's because I was probably more determined than most.
Now, if you would have got discouraged, that wouldn't have happened.
And that's what that's why I think we connect so
Yeah,
much.
I think
Because
so.
I know your history and I
Yeah.
know what it takes
Right.
to get what you believe in. And it's
Yes.
not easy.
You hear that, folks? What do I always say on my podcast? Show up. 90% of success is show up.
Yeah.
Get off your ass and go
do it.
there. You
No matter
never
how
know.
hard it is, keep trying until you can't try anymore.
You know what these billionaires, they asked them, what was your secret? And you know what they all said? They go, right place at the right time. I showed up. Imagine that? That's what they said.
Isn't that unbelievable?
They
Well,
said,
that's what you did. And I think that's, as I said, I've always admired you. And I know that story so well now. And again, not to throw bouquets, but it just takes intestinal fortitude
yeah. Yeah.
to say, you know what? And I won't curse.
You
God
coach.
damn it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do
until
this. Right.
until someone stops me, I'm going to keep going.
You're right.
And that's a message to a lot of
Yeah.
people who are in the fashion business, in the movie business. You have to keep trying.
What is your message, Joseph? Let's sign off with, what is your message to young designers out there now? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's.
And
Do we
it's
have a
more
lot of
difficult now.
them?
No, it's more difficult. But you know what? Don't design for the press. Design for the customer. Because I always kept that in the back of my head. I'm not, yes, I've done fashion shows. I'm not designing for the runway. I'm designing for American men. And that was my focus. You know, I could get good reviews. I could get bad reviews. I didn't care because I knew I was doing right by my customer. And that was the most important thing. So be true to yourself and think of the customer. If you want to be an artist, paint on canvas. If you want to be a designer, you have to know who your customer is.
Wow. All
So,
right,
I have-
Joseph.
I have two
Oh, wait,
questions.
we have
yeah,
some questions.
I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
We brought up both flights and we brought up Sandy Blue Eyes. The first time I met Sandy Blue Eyes, he said to me, "You ever wear a suit to the airport?" I said, "No." He said, "See how they treat you next time. Wear a suit."
Isn't that amazing?
What I want to hear your take on that.
So it's so interesting about dressing and getting respect. I wrote a book called Threads, and my agent was David Black. And he first started in the mailroom, and he used to wear a suit and a tie to work every day in the mailroom. And people would say to him, "You're in the mailroom. Why are you wearing a suit and a tie?" And that's when people were, getting a little more dressed. And today he heads one of the largest literary agencies in the world.
Yeah.
And that's the answer. You know what? Show some respect about how you feel about yourself, and other people will
Right.
respect you.
Wow.
And I think and I've always loved that story about, people say, "Why are you, what are you dressed up for?" Because maybe I just want a little self-respect, and I want to make a great image when I'm out there.
First impression is the last.
That's always when you walk into that room. That's why I say,
Yeah.
don't have the suit walk in the room. You be the leading man. You be the movie star. Even if you aren't out there, be the guy that walks into the
Yes.
room that demands some respect and some
And you'll get
presence.
it.
Yeah.
What was your second question,
So
John?
the second question is fall's right around the corner. I want to know what are some men's fashion designs that we can look forward to in the fall, and
Yeah.
how men can adjust their wardrobes for the season.
Yeah. One of the greatest things about living in the Northeast are the seasons.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to go to downtown Boston to Filene's to buy a Shetland sweater for the fall season, put it in the package, and take it home.
Right.
So I think dressing for seasons is great. A lot of guys think, I'm just going to dress the same year round. But embrace the beauty of the world we live in. Embrace it. So go out. You know what? Go buy a herringbone jacket for fall.
Right.
Go buy a cashmere turtleneck. Put it on. Get a little chill in the air. Maybe be a little daring. Throw a scarf on. Okay?
Right.
Like we do.
Right.
Enjoy the seasons. In the summer, go ahead and get a white linen jacket or a tan linen jacket and a pair of linen trousers. It's refreshing. It's renewing. So I believe when you live in a climate like we do, enjoy the season. And I think getting dressed for fall is the most fun.
Fall. Yeah.
Fall is great. It's Thanksgiving and it's the holidays, and going over to someone's
Yeah.
house and putting on a cashmere jacket, and maybe
Right.
just putting on that turtleneck that we love so
Right,
much.
Yeah.
I remember, I know this is sort of name dropping, Tom Brokaw, who I did a lot of his wardrobe.
Yeah.
Really terrific guy. So I did some flannel suits for him, some seasonal fall suits. He sends me a note. He said, "I want to show you something." He said, "My suits are getting more fan mail than I am." This is Brokaw. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, that silver gray cashmere flannel suit you made me? And Tom's a great looking guy. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and he said, "I can't tell you how many comments I'm getting about my clothes and the fact that I'm dressing seasonally."
Right.
And I thought, you know what? Great. So just don't always buy a flat fabric. Buy something. Buy a sweater. Buy a cashmere V-neck sweater.
What about overcoats? What kind of
Oh, I love those coats.
Do you recommend like you should have a black overcoat, right?
Right. But you know what the most famous one is?
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. But the camel hair polo coat. Do you know? It's camel hair colored. It's all camel hair.
It's gray, so it's brown.
It's tan. It's like a tan. And it had these big. It's sort of very reminiscent of the Duke of Windsor. It's very.
Yes.
It's like.
Do they still sell those?
I don't know if you can find them as much because guys probably, they're into more techie fabrics and things like that. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. But the Chesterfield was great. Or, you know what? You want a real coat for dressy? black cashmere coat. Gorgeous.
Black cashmere. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
you
that,
know,
yeah.
and cashmere is, and I want everybody to hear this now because you can't steal it from me, but I have a saying is, if you wear cashmere, you'll get hugged. So it's
Wow.
a cozy, and that's what's great about the seasons, the fall. You know, it's kind of, you kind of want to be embraced, and you want to sit by a fireplace
yeah,
and
yeah,
see the
yeah.
foliage, and you know, I love dressing for the seasons.
Wow. You know what, Joseph? God, I could talk to you all day. A raincoat.
Yeah.
I was in London.
Yes.
Okay. I was there for press for a movie, and my wife goes, I bought this raincoat for you. It was a Burberry.
Burberry.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
And I look at it and I go, oh. I go, wow. You know, it was like a James Bond.
Yeah.
It was good. It was gorgeous. I still have it. And I said to her, now this is years ago.
Yep.
I said, and I'm just saying it because of the story. And I said, gee, you know, it's very light. Like you put it on, it's a raincoat.
Yeah.
But it has the Burberry.
The gussets and
the
everything.
gussets, right.
Yes, it's belted. It's generally
So
double
I said,
breasted.
oh, how much was that? Because I asked her. I said,
Yeah.
And she said, oh, no, you know.
It was expensive.
And she said, I'm trying to think. It was $3,000. That's a lot of money for her. But see, she said it was in pounds, so it was less. It was 2,200 pounds. So she goes, 2,200.
Yeah. Well,
But it was really
yeah.
like 3,000.
Yeah. Yep. So the story of Burberry, we got finished.
And I said, my God. You know, I mean, I watch money. You know, I'm a real.
Well, I mean, you know, there's reality to these things.
I'm going, that's way too much. But she bought it and I kept it.
Right.
Do you know when I put that on and I go somewhere, people just go, damn.
If there was ever a James Bond coat,
yeah,
or if there was a Robert Taylor in Waterloo Bridge,
right,
all right,
right.
That Burberry coat is based on a military coat from World War I.
Wow.
If you notice, it has little hooks and little D-rings and epaulets.
Yes.
That's where your grenades, that they carried their grenades, and the strap that went on your shoulders called an epaulette. That's a true military coat. And Burberry, the authentic Burberry raincoat, is probably one of the most iconic menswear pieces in the world. And everybody from Zara, everybody's trying to do it again. They're doing it in women's. My daughter Lila just bought one. I was just talking to Gianna about it.
Yeah.
I said, that's as authentic, the original World War I Burberry raincoat. But if you had it, you had class.
Yeah.
And that coat reeks of class. And it gets a little wet, and it's just perfect. It's the perfect piece.
It's the perfect piece.
Yeah.
Wow. Joseph,
it's so much fun to do this.
It's so much fun to do this with you. And remember, leave your comments on my Instagram, or you can go to Chazz Palminteri Show at gmail.com. But if you want to hear more from Joseph Abboud about style and dress, leave your comments and we'll have Joseph back on the show. Don't forget to see my one-man show. Go to chazzpalminteri.net. And my cigars, LCG cigars, right? And my wine, put up the site for the wine. And don't forget where I'll be. Check the dates. Run those on there, John, where I'm going to be. Come and see the show. I just love, I love doing this. And Joseph, I love when you're on. And people just...
Well, thank you. And by the way, the show, it's astounding. It's brilliant. And I know I'm sitting in your... you need to see the show. It is brilliant. And I love the movie. You know how I feel about the movie.
Right.
The show is so spontaneous and of the moment.
Right.
I keep waiting. How does he know what he's doing? You have to see the show. It's brilliant.
Thank you, Joseph. And thank you. And thank you, the great designer, Joseph Abboud.
Thanks, Chazz.
God bless you.
I love you,
God bless the family.
Thanks,
and
buddy.
we'll see you next week, folks.